Madam President, it is my honor, in the presence of the trustees, the faculty, alumni, staff, students, and distinguished guests of Barnard College, to declare this convocation ceremony, held in celebration of the 125th anniversary of our college's founding, now open. In recognition of the illustrious achievements and important contributions of our over 40,000 alumni, please join me in welcoming our alumni class presidents, led by Alumni Trustee and Alumni Association President Terry Newman, who is carrying the banner for our founding year, 1889.
Good afternoon. My name is Jolene Caruso Fitzgerald, and I chair the Board of Trustees at Barnard. As chair of the board, I usually get the opportunity to speak at commencements, which, as you know, occur at the end of the year, and they celebrate the accomplishments of our seniors, but they also commemorate their departure. And while it's an important tradition, it can be sometimes bittersweet. So I was truly delighted and honored when President Spar asked me to speak at Convocation, a tradition that celebrates the start of an academic year and a beginning. And at this convocation, we also toast the beginning of Barnard's 125th birthday. I like beginnings, and I love celebrations, so this is an extra special event for me. Since I stepped foot on campus in 1977, I was an active student, and I've been a highly engaged alum. My ultimate dream was to become a trustee and help lead the college. And 15 years ago, I was nominated to the Board of Trustees, and I started my 5th year as board chair this year, succeeding the great Anna Quinlan. As board chair, I now have a lot of work to do, which I love, but I've enjoyed learning the inner workings of an educational institution. And I've been privileged to serve with an amazing group of women and men who are dedicated to fulfilling the college's strategic goals. I am constantly inspired by our students, by our faculty, and the great administration who lead this college. As I reflect, however, upon 4 decades that Barnard has been in my life, I've come to realize that the college's mission and place in higher education has never been as relevant and vital as it is at this moment. I hope you will all be equally inspired to join us in our work to maintain the strength of this outstanding institution. You will all learn here and you will develop as individuals. But I encourage you to take every single opportunity that Barnard offers you to flourish. And I hope that you'll nurture the bonds that you develop here with your classmates, your professors, and the administration. You will find decades later, as I have, that the efforts you make here will reap numerous benefits in your life. The friendships you make, the traditions you help uphold, and there are many wonderful ones at Barnard, and your contributions of time, of talent, and treasure, hopefully long after you leave Barnard's campus, all will serve to make your life interesting and rich. So whether you have just moved in as a first year or you're contemplating life after Barnard as a senior, please join me in supporting this amazing institution that has personally given me incredible joy and has been such an important part of my life. As Barnard sisters, let's all come together to ensure that our children will be here, celebrating our mission and the great Barnard traditions for the next 125 years. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Bell, and I'm Provost and Dean of the faculty. And on behalf of the 200+ full-time members of the Barnard faculty, the visiting faculty, the adjunct faculty, the research scholars, accompanists, choreographers, and lab instructors, I bring a very warm welcome and greeting to our students, staff, alumni, trustees, and friends on this very special occasion of Barnard's 125th anniversary convocation celebration. Welcome all. This afternoon, I will focus my brief comments on the theme of opportunity. For you, our students, you've been welcomed into a community filled with remarkable and talented people. You will find here individuals from many different places and backgrounds, all brought together by a distinctive set of qualities and aspirations, a spirit of inquisitiveness, candor, and openness, a passion for making a difference. Reach far beyond the courses that outline your 4 years here. Learn inside and outside of the classroom, and let this space grow you and change you. To some in this room, the class of 2018, the journey is just now beginning. To you, your time at Barnard seems vast, the 4 years ahead representing nearly a quarter of your lifetime thus far. To others in this room, our seniors, the class of 2015, your time here is more defined, and your thoughts, no doubtedly, move from Barnard to the world outside. To all our students, make the most of your remaining days here. Learn your passions and be rigorous, thoughtful, and bold. Be intellectually energetic and adventurous. Open your mind to learning for learning's sake. Discover new people, new theorems, new ideas, new models, new tools. Strive to excel. Avoid complacency. Take responsible risks. And remember that there is much joy and great beauty in occasionally and purposefully coloring outside the lines. Your faculty, our faculty, renowned scholars and dedicated teachers are devoted to knowledge and ideas. They are members of the National Academy, Guggenheim Award winners. They hold prestigious honors from the National Endowment for the Humanities and from the National Science Foundation. They write books that win prizes and publish articles that advance knowledge in their fields. They have created and invented, curated, performed, and critiqued. And they work with governments and nonprofits as they help to progress our world. Through their reputation and mentorship, through the supportive work of dedicated staff, with you students as our partners and our distinguished alumni, a testament to the power of the Barnard model, we collectively grow the legacy of excellence that has characterized this institution for 125 years, preparing women to lead and to better society. As we look back on 125 years of Barnard history this year, we take great pride in who we are and in what we have accomplished. We pause to celebrate, but for this moment, always aware that tomorrow represents the opportunity, however undefined and incompletely imagined, to do even better. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, Barnard and all our special guests. I am Julia Qian, a proud member of the class of 2015. And I am your SGA president. For 125 years, Barnard College has been an extraordinary place where we have come to learn, make memories, develop our talents, and collaborate to make the world a better place. And today, we are here to celebrate. At this time of celebration unfolds, we recognize and rejoice in the significant progress that Barnard College, as well as all women in the face of different forms of discrimination, have achieved. We, as members of the Barnard community, will not rest on our current accomplishments, but instead rededicate ourselves to the hard work of transforming the world. With encouragement of the institution, unparalleled support from the alumni, nurturing from family and friends, we together are here to challenge ourselves to take Barnard to the next level, especially on her 125th anniversary. I invite us to revisit our mission statement and enact our vision through major events this year, so that we can find tangible ways to demonstrate our commitment and to transform Barnard and the world for the better. From the mission statement, I quote, "Barnard students thrive on high expectations, set rigorous academic standards, promote intellectual risk-taking and curiosity, address issues of gender in all their complexity, strive for diversity and inclusiveness in all its endeavors, and prepare our graduates to flourish the world." How does this goal present itself to us this year? I challenge us to get involved with the curriculum review, commit to actively engage with the community, redefine women and what a women's college means in the 21st century, as well as join the discussion on Barnard's acceptance policies. And let's start off with our very own Global Symposium in New York. I, on behalf of the dedicated members of SGA and all of you, invite all of us, current students, alumni, trustees, faculty, administrators, staff members, President Spar, our family and friends, to join the celebration and the journey with us. Happy birthday, Barnard, and let's show the world what we can do.
Hello, my name is Emma Heed Brierly.
My name is Sarah Schreiber.
and we are the co-chairs of this year's Barnard Honor Board.
The Honor Code was established at Barnard College in 1912 as a student-run committee to oversee academic integrity on campus.
As Barnard's students, you will abide by and carry forth the tenets of this code.
If you would please now rise and recite after us the Barnard Honor Code.
We, the students of Barnard College,
we consider it dishonest to ask for, give, or receive help in examinations or quizzes, to use any papers or books not authorized by the instructor in examinations, or to present oral work or written work which is not entirely our own, unless otherwise approved by the instructor. We consider it dishonest to remove without authorization, alter, or deface library and other academic materials. We pledge to do all that is in our power to create a spirit of honesty and honor for its own sake. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Today we launch the celebration of an anniversary that in many ways should never have happened. An anniversary that almost didn't happen. Because Barnard College was created not with a grand bequest or a land grant from the state, but on a wing and a prayer, with a president of Columbia University determined to educate women, even if not directly on his campus, and a young woman, Annie Meyer, who doggedly won support from the Columbia trustees. The college was nearly merged out of existence in the early 1980s, when Columbia, following the recent example of Harvard University and its sister school, Radcliffe, expressed a similar desire to absorb Barnard. Barnard chose not to make the match. And it was, as a result, a rough time for the college and for women's colleges in general. And today, of course, women's colleges are a dwindling breed. Our numbers reduced from 230 in 1960 to only 47 left today. Yet, here we are, not only surviving, but thriving, and I would argue, stronger than ever. Which raises the question that I hear all the time: why? Why do women's colleges still exist? Why does the world need a place like Barnard? It's a good and a valid question, but there are good and valid answers to it as well. Let me give you two today. First, the world needs a place like Barnard because the world, sadly, still operates differently for women. These data are very well known, but they bear almost constant repeating. Women today account for only 15 to 20% of the top positions in nearly every single sector across the United States. Women account for only 18.5% of congressional representatives, 17% of board directors, 19% of surgeons, and less than 8% of Nobel Prize winners. The situation is even worse at the very top of the pyramid, where only 6% of Hollywood directors are female, as are a dismal 5% of chief executive officers. Moreover, and more importantly, regardless of where they sit in the socioeconomic landscape, regardless of their religion or race or hair color, women face an onslaught of everyday aggressions that only rarely impede on the lives of men. Yet these things, these asymmetries and inequities and annoyances, simply don't happen at Barnard because we are a place where, by definition, girls rule. A place where women, by definition and tradition, hold all the positions of power. Run everything, and always graduate at the top of the class. We are not a nunnery, so I am told, but we are a laboratory of sorts, a liberating and expansive intellectual space where young women can define themselves unencumbered by societal expectations of who they are and what they are supposed to become. We are a place where for 4 precious years, some of the most talented and creative young women on this planet can contemplate their lives and their destinies without constantly being constrained by their gender. This is a crucial opportunity, and it's why the world still very much needs places like Barnard. But there's a second reason as well, one that stems not only from Barnard's mission as a women's college, but also from Barnard's essential legacy as a great college, an historic college in an extraordinary city linked with one of the world's greatest research universities. We are not a bumper sticker kind of place. As a college, we defy easy expectations of just what precisely we are. But for those of you who have worked here for decades know well, as those of you who graduated from Barnard can attest, as those of you who are studying here now are learning, and as those of you who are formally joining us today will soon begin to understand, Barnard is truly a special place, a unique place. And I mean that literally, because there is simply nothing else like us on the planet. There is no other women's college left that is joined to a major research university. There is no other world-class liberal arts college nestled in the heart of Manhattan. There is no other campus with a greenhouse and beehives and animal labs and world's most awesome magnolia tree just 500 feet from the entrance to the #1 train. There is no place with quite the same combination of faculty who teach and students who do research and staff who truly care. This distinctiveness sometimes makes life complicated. It takes us longer to describe who and what we are at Barnard. We have to define ourselves more carefully than many of our peer institutions. We have to defend ourselves more frequently. But this distinctiveness gives us both opportunity and responsibility. The opportunities are vast and self-evident. You see them in the women who graduate from Barnard and go on to shape and shake the world. Zora Neale Hurston, Margaret Mead, Twyla Tharp, Joan Rivers, Anna Quindlen. You see them in our faculty, exploring phenomena that range from the blackness of space to the olfactory sensors of insects to the graffiti of Pompeii. And you see them most crucially in our students, who never cease to amaze and inspire me. The responsibilities are more subtle, but coming to Barnard and being part of Barnard means caring forever about education, about knowledge, and about using that education and knowledge to make the world a better place in whatever ways matter most to you. In 1889, 125 years ago, Barnard College was created to give women choices and the ability to control their own destinies. For 125 years, this college, its leaders, its graduates, its students, its donors, its friends have preserved that mission and given generations of women the power and the ability to choose. Your legacy as Barnard students is this gift, the ability to choose. Your responsibility is to use that choice to build lives that matter. Thank you all for being here today and for helping us to celebrate everything that is and will be Barnard. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the very first Barnard woman to major explicitly and consistently in Unafraid, the one and only Anna Quindlen.
Good afternoon. It's my honor to be here this afternoon and to say to you what I am so proud to say every day in every way. I am a graduate of Barnard College. I'd like to begin today with what I think is one of the very best sentences in the English language. It's a girl. I've only heard those words in their conventional setting once, just shy of midnight in a birthing room some miles south of here. But for months beforehand, I'd been hearing from friends and acquaintances and even total strangers about how happy hearing them would make me. If you've got 2 little boys and are pregnant with a 3rd child, everyone wants you to understand that a girl is a gift. They tell you that you'll be able to talk about anything under the sun with her, to help her with her hair and her clothes, to sit with her through rom-coms and take her shopping. Conventional wisdom has it that she'll be a companion, a compatriot, someday provide you a fashion show of prom dresses and wedding gowns while you sit there beaming. In other words, all those well-meaning people made having a daughter sound like a cross between Barbie and Oprah. Let's get this out of the way right now. Over the 25 years since my only daughter was born, I have done all the things those people mentioned, from long talks to mani-pedis. Maria has been both a wonderful companion and a freelance stylist, to the extent that she has been known to say darkly and unequivocally as I emerge dressed to go out, "Oh, Mama, no." But she's also terrific with a basketball and a softball bat, a strong character who never takes no for an answer, and a smart person of very significant opinions who doesn't much care if her mother agrees with her or not. All those people talking about her in utero never once mentioned any of those things, nor the very best reason to be born a girl, the reason that has nothing to do with choosing a dress or knowing how to listen to your friend's troubles on the phone. It's because being a girl means you have the chance to grow up to be a woman. And being a woman at this time in this place is fantastic. It's great. It's awesome. The best. You people have completely lucked out. Now, you don't have to major in history to know that this hasn't always been the case, or to be a student of international affairs to know that there are still parts of the world in which it isn't even dimly true. But sometimes there's a sweet spot in our own lives individually and in society generally when custom and change dovetail, when the lessons of the past combine with the gains of the present to produce a spectacular future. And by that, I'm not talking simply about the fact that there's now in Washington an oil painting of 4 female Supreme Court justices, where a half a century ago there would have been none, or the public conversations about the behavior of successful CEOs who have just given birth assume that women CEOs actually exist and that some of them will even have children. None of that seems at all aberrational to current Barnard students, I know. You've grown up in a world in which you've seen women doing virtually everything, from space missions to heart surgery. But if being a woman today meant simply having that kind of resume power, then being a woman today would mean being an old school version of a successful man. What's happened instead is that the skills we developed over centuries when we weren't allowed to do much outside the home have intersected with new opportunities in the wide world to create an entirely new kind of woman who can make up her life as she goes along and change it up whenever she dares. In other words, you. The lives women lead today are so utterly different than those of their foremothers. For centuries, being female was pretty grim, even under the best of circumstances. When I was a little girl with a keen interest in world domination, Elizabeth I, who was Queen of England almost 500 years ago, was my greatest role model. But to be that woman in a man's world, Elizabeth had to deny conventional femininity, eschew marriage and children, and say of herself, "I know I have the body of a weak and feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king." There were lots of reasons for women then and in the centuries after to consider themselves weak and feeble, even aside from the obligatory religious verses and the laws that guaranteed rights to sons but not to daughters. Childbirth was often a death sentence, and widowhood meant poverty for people who were never permitted to work for pay. When women published books, they almost always did it under pen names. Virginia Woolf wrote once, "For most of history, Anonymous was a woman." Now, make no mistake about it, even with all of that, there was still something uniquely great about being a woman in the past. You get glimpses of it in literature, in the relationship among the sisters and their friends in Jane Austen's novels, and in Little Women, in the Betsy Tacy books for girls set in the early 1900s. Those books have a powerful sense of sisterhood and camaraderie. But even the girls in those books were frustrated by their limitations due to gender. Jo March, the heroine of Little Women, moans, "It's bad enough to be a girl anyway when I like boys' games and work and manners. I can't get over my disappointment in not being a boy." But that was then, and this is now, and Jo would be astonished at how much the world has changed for girls like her. Not because we've rejected the old ways, but because we're learning to combine them with the new ones. All those centuries of sitting by the fireside have, it turns out, paid off. Generations of women watched and waited, learned to parse human nature and to drill down deep into what made us tick. And so women learned to talk with, live with, work with others. Generations of women counted their household pennies and made soup out of what was left of the chicken and dishcloths out of what was left of the curtains. And so women learned to be inventive about doing more with less. Generations of women were house proud and house bound, raising girl children to do the same and boy children to do more. And so women learned to create a community, to teach and to nurture. In this year, 2014, you take all those attributes out in the world and it's amazing how well they work. Listening, learning, encouraging, these are skills that translate well to executive suites, Wall Street, schools, hospitals, and of course, the White House. In other words, we women come bearing what people say they want and need. We are the answer. The great world doesn't welcome change, and it's been slow to embrace the change in our lives. Those of us who were ambitious and accomplished were sometimes considered frauds when we talked about our children or our domestic lives. There was a peremptory message from the femininity police. Choose one or the other. You can either be a senator or you can bake cookies. The best thing for all of you about being a smart woman coming of age in this new changed environment is that you all know exactly how stupid that sounds. You have the unique opportunity to thoroughly reject those orders from on high or down low and go your own way. Your ordinary lives are, to those of us who came before you, absolutely extraordinary. Your friendships are as central to your lives as your work. Your female friends are as important as your partners. You'll be tough and strong and kind and gentle all at the same time, some of you. You'll have children how and when you want, or you will choose not to have them at all. You will have a partner or a spouse, female or male, or you will decide to go it alone. You'll have careers, and you'll have fun. The work world is more manageable and more enjoyable if you have company, allies, sisters within it. That's new too, that critical mass you'll find. As a woman who was often the only something in some job, I can attest, only is lonely. You're the people who get to let your female flag fly. You lucky ducks. And you have landed at what I think is the best place in America to have that happen. That flag is our stars and stripes, our Union Jack, our ancestral crest. And the changes in the lives of women over the last 125 years mean women's colleges are as important and as relevant today as when Barnard was founded. Because Barnard is so many things at once. It's a small liberal arts college, and it's aligned with a large university. It's in the middle of the greatest city on earth, and it's in its own small oasis behind Curly Q gates. It's a place that exposes all of you to everything out there, and one that envelops you with the like-minded and the hugely supportive. Perhaps most important, it is a place that surrounds you with brilliant women, whether at the classroom podium or in the student seats. There are many things I took away from my years at Barnard, but one of them was that when anyone tried to convince me that women were unsuitable, incompetent, less, I knew they were either misinformed or simply lying. I had spent too much time surrounded by faculty and students who were competent to do anything, who, if the world were a just place, could easily be either Pope or President. If being a woman today means taking what it means to be a woman in the past and combining it with what we've won the right to become in the future, then all of that takes place every day on our 4-acre plot in Morningside Heights. Barnard is the whole wide world in a package you can get your hands around, a place where it is easy to be utterly and always unafraid. Barnard women have always known that they were capable of great things. Zora Neale Hurston, the writer, graduated in 1928 and was the college's only black student at the time. There's a change. She once said, "Sometimes I feel discriminated against, but it does not make me angry. It merely astonishes me. How can any deny themselves the pleasure of my company?" Well, today, among other things, we celebrate the pleasure of your company and a new chapter in the history of the most selective college for women in the United States. We have graduated women who were told by our culture that their only choice was marriage and motherhood, and who rebelled against that. We have graduated women who were part of a changing culture that denigrated marriage and motherhood, and who rebelled against that. And so we come to you, and a culture that may finally applaud women being who they truly are. You stand on the far side of a historic fault line, and those of us who straddled it, sometimes uncomfortably, are so happy to see you there. Oh, you fortunate people born with this birthright. Yours is the feminism of 3 dimensions, of all of the above, of Hillary and Beyonce and Dee Spar. It's not solely the opportunity to prosper, to achieve, to be taken seriously, to be paid attention. It's the opportunity to combine freedom with meaning, community with work, ambition with camaraderie. It's the opportunity to take what women have done for centuries, what women have been obliged, even forced to do for centuries, and use it all in brand new ways. You know that there are places in the world where women are still denigrated, subjugated, forbidden to do the simplest things, like go to school, or drive a car, or dress as they please. You know there are places not so far from here where girls look at all these new freedoms and see them as though they're a mirage because of poverty. You know there is still violence, plenty of it, based simply on gender and assumptions about what we can do and who we can be based on a hangover from the old days, the old ways. But how far we've come since the trustees of Columbia University smacked down a visionary named Frederick A.P. Barnard when he wanted to admit women to vastly improve the university where he was president. How far we've come since Jo March's lament about being a boy to the day 15 years ago when I picked Maria up at the federal courthouse where she had spent the day with one of my friends, a judge who had been one of only 5 women in her law school graduating class. In the cab, I turned to my daughter and asked if she ever thought she might want to be a boy. And she replied, "Oh no, Mama, it would be too boring." How far we've come since my grandmother's time when her greatest act of rebellion was, of all things, to wear a one-piece bathing suit on the beach in Atlantic City. At the time, some women saw that as a political act. A church excursion in New York Harbor on an old steamer had ended in 1904 with the drowning of nearly 1,000 people, almost all of them women and girls. And there was talk that it was because women couldn't learn to swim, couldn't begin to learn to swim in the wool dress and bloomers that public modesty then required. An Australian female distance swimmer was busted in Boston for wearing a one-piece suit and told the judge at her trial, "What difference is there from these legal costumes than wearing lead chains around our legs?" I have to admit, I'd be really surprised if my grandmother was trying to strike a blow for women's rights when she wore her suit, which she always used to say almost got her arrested, too. She considered herself a bit of a babe, and that probably had more to do with the swimwear. But she was a nice Irish Catholic girl, and the fact that she talked about that incident her whole life long makes me think it was one of her only chances to color outside the lines of a circumscribed life. It's not that you, Barnard student, get to color outside the lines. It's that there aren't any lines anymore. Over the last 125 years, we women sought the right to be full humans with all the rights and privileges that confers. Today we begin a new chapter to dare to be fully evolved humans who go beyond basic rights and privileges to a reinvention that will benefit the entire world. You are the heiresses to infinite possibility, the standard bearers of a college that was born out of the hope that someday you, could actually exist. Go to it.
Good afternoon. I'm Avis Hinkson, Dean of the College, and a very proud member of the class of 1984. It is truly a pleasure to stand before you this afternoon as we celebrate Barnard's 125th anniversary. To the class of 2015, our seniors, who arrived on campus with Hurricane Irene and have been shaking things up ever since. To the stellar classes of 2016 and 2017, who are on the verge of greatness, and to our newest and largest class in the history of the college, the class of 2018. I am delighted to cheer you on. I welcome you to this academic year filled with all the usual yet inspiring curricular and co-curricular happenings, along with all the extra awesomeness that will occur as we celebrate our Quasquicentennial. Please be sure to say Quasquicentennial at least once a day so that maybe by the end of the year it'll roll off our tongues. May the bravery that is so Barnard guide your progress throughout this year. To my sister alumni, I greet you and welcome you back to campus, to a campus that has changed our lives in such profound ways. From where I am standing, you don't look a bit older than you did at your graduation. And yet your wisdom and accomplishments have certainly been influential, both close to home and across the globe. In fond memory of Barnard's own Joan Rivers, may the boldness that is so Barnard inspire you to achieve your next goal. To our faculty and staff, welcome back. Here's to the wonderful year ahead in which you will embrace the change that will propel you forward in all that you do. May the beauty, passion, and rigor that are so Barnard enhance your efforts in support of our students and our college. We are brave, we are bold, we are beautiful, and we are Barnard. Happy 125th anniversary. And now, to honor this historic convocation in our 125th year, we will be taking a commemorative group photo. This could be considered to be the ultimate class picture. Between us, we represent 125 years of Barnard's history, and just as importantly, the college's future. Because of the special format of the picture, it will take a few minutes to get it just right and capture the whole group clearly. So I ask for your patience and attention to help mark this special occasion. Now, if you are able to stand, I ask that you stand and turn to face the balcony and follow the instructions of the photographer who is in place. Please have your banner in your hand. Yes, please. Please welcome Bacante as they sing our alma mater.
There's a college on a hilltop that's very dear to me, and a certain group of students with ties of camaraderie. So we'll sing to dear old Barnard, and loyal be and true, as we show to coming classes how we love the white and blue. There's a college on a hilltop that's very dear to me, and a certain group of students with ties of camaraderie. So we'll sing to dear old Barnard, and loyal be and true, as we show to coming classes how we love the white and blue.
Madam President, what an outstanding day. I now have the distinct honor of declaring this convocation ceremony adjourned. I extend a warm invitation to each of you to return to Barnard's campus for a reception. So that the recession may be concluded in orderly fashion, please remain seated until our faculty have left the seating area. Wishing everyone the best of luck this academic year, and look forward to continuing our 125th celebration of Barnard.